Good evening. I would like to call to order the Borough Council, Borough of Carlisle Council Workshop meeting for October 1st, 2025. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming out this evening. We have we have a counselor and the mayor who are going to be attending remotely, so I do need a motion for that.
Yeah, I'll move that council allow Mayor Schultz and Councilor Mellon to attend and participate in the meeting remotely.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Welcome, Mayor Schultz and Councilor Mellon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we start our evening with citizens to be heard, but I would like to just note that if you have come to make comment on any items within the agenda itself, that you would wait to bring that up until we get to that item in the agenda. And we have 3 minutes, 5 minutes? Time for each person that comes up will be allowed 5 minutes of public comment. We do ask that you give your name and full address for the record. So is there anyone here that would like to address council on anything that's not already on the agenda for later? Is there anyone by Zoom, Stephanie? Okay, we will continue on to our regular agenda then. I would entertain a motion for approving the meeting minutes.
I'll move that council review and approve the September 3rd, 2025 workshop meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? And that passes. Our next item up is for Public Works.
Yes. I have one item this evening. I move that Borough Council approve a resolution authorizing the submission of an application for a local share account Category 4 grant from the Commonwealth Financing Authority for an amount not to exceed $200,000 to be used for the construction of 88 accessible ramps throughout the borough.
Councilor Stubbe made a motion allowing for an application for the local share grant. Do we have a second?
Second.
The action item has been properly seconded. Do we have any discussion from council? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? And the motion passes.
And that concludes the Public Works Committee report this evening.
Thank you, Councilor Stubbe. And we are going to move on to Sustainable Community and Economic Planning.
Thank you, Ms. Deputy Mayor. I have 2 items on my agenda for tonight. The first item is that Borough Council may approve a time extension request by Douglas S. Brenham of Brem-Levo Engineering Incorporated on behalf of Hidden Meadows of Carlisle LLC, the owner of lots X and 2 within the Hidden Meadows Phase 2 subdivision for satisfying the conditions of plan approval on the preliminary and final subdivision of land development plan for Hidden Meadows. Phase 2 as per section 226-21A3 of the borough's subdivision and land development ordinance. The request is for an additional 90 days, and the new deadline shall be January 6th, 2026.
We have an item that is to allow a time extension on the Hidden Meadows of Carlisle lot, and I will second that item. Do we have any discussion on this? Anyone come for this particular item in the audience? Okay. No discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes.
The second item on my agenda for tonight is that Borough Council may approve a time extension request by Douglas Brem of Brem-Levo Engineering the applicant on behalf of Karen E. and Mark H. Mallon, the owner of property at 808 Walnut Lane, for considering taking action on the 808 Walnut Lane final minor subdivision plan as per section 226-21A2 of the borough's subdivision and land development ordinance. The new deadline shall be December 31st, 2025.
We have a motion for a time extension on behalf of Douglas Brem of Brem Lebo Engineering for 808 Walnut Lane. I will second that motion. Do we have any comments on that? Anything in the audience? Okay, I will call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? And the motion passes. Okay. So we're to council report, and I am going to be reading a statement on behalf of council, and I might make one additional comment after I go through this. Okay. At the outset, it is important to define. That is where it starts, right? Yes, okay, sorry. At the outset, it is important to define for everyone what we can and cannot address. Council will tonight restrict ourselves to only this statement and to allow public comment on the merits of a resolution or ordinance related to undocumented persons and the borough's interaction with them, given the fact that one member of council is not in attendance this evening, and their voices should be heard too. So, just to note, at our regular council meeting next week, we would have possibility of actually adopting or moving forward. So tonight is discussion. It is important to note that, for the record, that council is also aware that there has been at least one recent circumstance involving the police department and an undocumented individual. That matter is presently being investigated as both a personnel matter and an operational matter by the administration. Other than what Chief Landis plans to share with the community this evening in his prepared remarks, the borough does not and cannot comment on matters that are subject to a criminal investigation and/or matters that are part of a personnel investigation. While the borough will certainly receive all comments that are made this evening, it is important for everyone to understand that the borough will not be making any further comments regarding criminal investigations and/or matters that may be part of a personnel investigation. To the extent that we are able, we will do our best to provide additional comment at next week's meeting. So, I believe we're going to have a statement from Chief Landis, correct? I will also say, just to preface, since that statement mentioned having comments up here, we have 5 minutes, as I said. I do want to just make note that we like to keep order. Everyone, we're respectful to hear everyone, but try to just think of everyone else that's in here and not escalate, we'll say, the situations. We want to hear everyone, but we do want to make sure that everyone stays calm, even though we know that people have feelings about this topic. You want to go?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, members of council, public. Over the past 9 months, I've stated that the Carlisle Police does not call Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And I meant that. The members of the Carlisle Police Department do not ask individuals about their immigration status unless it's required by the circumstances of the engagement, nor do we seek active assistance of ICE within the boundaries of the borough for the purpose of immigration enforcement. However, it is also correct that on April 28th, members of the Carlisle Police Department did call ICE to seek assistance with an undocumented individual who was detained for violations of the Pennsylvania Motor Vehicle Code and since the borough or the police department was unable to release the detained juvenile on their own recognizance, we were very limited to a list of individuals and entities that could provide and care for the juvenile. Upon calling ICE for this juvenile, ICE supplied us with the police department with a relative in Hagerstown, Maryland. The Carlisle Police Department members contacted the Hagerstown Police Department to go to the residence to attempt to make contact with someone who could be responsible for this individual. No relative could assume custody. Ultimately, ICE took custody of the juvenile. I was unaware of the call to ICE until September 18th while processing a right to know request. Upon learning that our police officers had called ICE, I made the notifications to the borough manager and the legal counsel. It must be remembered that our officers are required to make decisions in real time based on fluid and rapidly evolving circumstances. We plan to use this matter to better inform our response. To that end, to provide additional oversight, we will be instructing all officers that going forward, all unanticipated interaction with federal, state, and law enforcement will require them to check with department command staff. There's 3 of us, the lieutenant, myself, and the staff sergeant, prior to making those arrangements. Moreover, our post-incident debrief was determined that going forward, both Children and Youth Services and Juvenile Probation will be working with agencies together to address these issues collectively at a local level where possible. The Carlisle Police Department will make that interagency cooperation a priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Landis. So the statement was that we are not going to, as a council, be having back and forth interaction with the folks that have come out tonight to make comment. We are here to listen, and hopefully when all of us are here next week, we would be able to maybe move forward on what would be the next steps on this. So if you are here and interested in providing public comment on the community trust and resource prioritization resolution ordinance, you are welcome to line up, and you have 5 minutes. We do need your name and your address. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? You can come up to the podium.
Thank you. My name is Marvin Salzman, 600 Noble Boulevard, Carlisle, and I wanted to address the Carlisle Community Trust and Local Autonomy Resolution. And I love Carlisle. You know, I grew up in a small farm town in the boondocks of southwest Kansas. 50 years ago, after I finished my military service in college, we moved to Carlisle and said that we would find jobs in this nice, quiet, historical, safe town after we arrived and moved. We did that, and we were welcomed by a welcome wagon visitor, and gave us coupons for restaurants and different organizations in town. We became tax-paying, active members of the Carlisle community, and we raised our family here. We like the safety and low crime in a town protected by over 30 police officers who have all sworn an oath to protect and defend Carlisle in accordance with the Constitution and state and local laws. Carlisle has many organizations and nonprofit organizations that provide services to those who need assistance with housing, food, medical services, or other needs far above and beyond the services provided by most area communities. And now we see that a group of concerned citizens apparently started a welcoming committee or welcoming community resolution instructing Carlisle police not to cooperate with federal agencies to enforce federal laws in spite of their oath and the logo on their badges that says fiat justa, let justice be done. I do not support any resolution or ordinance that will make Carlisle a sanctuary community, welcoming community. We welcome people regardless of their situation, and we continue to do that, but we need to enforce federal laws. We can continue to welcome and assist those who need help, as we have always done here in Carlisle, but let us remember that federal laws apply to us all. So, in answer to the Sentinel's recent front page question, should Carlisle have a welcoming community ordinance? My opinion is no. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I will also note, just for the record, that we did get a number of emails, letters, and so those have been received and read. And so we will continue on with our public comment. Thank you.
My name is John Werner. I live at 157 South Pitt Street. And first, I recognize this has been a long, drawn-out process, and it's taken a lot of your time, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate, the statement that Chief Landis just read to me. I have a lot of feelings about that as one of the people who brought this ordinance to you guys initially, and I think that's the perfect test case for why this ordinance is so important. I love this town. I respectfully disagree with Mr. Salzman about the meaning of this ordinance. I think what's valuable about this is that it frees local law enforcement's hands to pursue one justice system for everyone within the borough without worrying about distant, politicized, bureaucratic stuff like people's immigration status. I view this as something that very much empowers our local community. And yeah, I just want to reiterate, it was not our intention to bring any burden to anyone on council when we brought this ordinance forward. We just really care about our town and care about our neighbors. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. You can just give your name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Jesse Sherborne. I live at 537 North Hanover. And I'd also like to say that I am a veteran. I served my country and swore an oath to protect the Constitution. And I wanted to speak on behalf of the welcoming ordinance. Specifically, I wanted to rebut a point from the last meeting, which is that the ordinance is redundant and passing it is performative and would actually hurt immigrant communities by drawing attention to Carlisle. First, I want to bring your attention that this has absolutely no case in reality. Allentown passed a very similar ordinance last March and has faced zero repercussions for doing so. And even if that weren't the case, it doesn't and shouldn't matter. Our country is at a very sensitive and vulnerable time in history. It's a time where the very foundations of this country are being tested, and the only thing that determines whether they stand or fall is the strength of our character and our resolve to do the right thing. And right now, that is what the ordinance embodies. It's an affirmation of the values that this community and this country already stands on. This is what makes it so great and powerful, and makes me proud to spend my time to show up to the borough to talk about it instead of eating potato chips in my lazy boy and watching Naruto and drinking beer. The hour of trial and tribulation is now, and I encourage my borough councilors to take up the mantle of truth, justice, and our historic values and affirm them once again. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that each one of you gave up your evening to be here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amanda Smith. I live at 6 Buchanan Drive, Seven Gables. I've been raised here my whole life. My family's been here since before Carlisle was even instituted. We have been here from the start. We immigrated here from Europe before 1776, and we have watched generation after generation this community grow and be better. And that is only by helping each other and supporting the community and not turning each other in and not going against each other when we are all just trying to survive. This town is beautiful. I want everyone to get to experience having beer behind Molly Pitcher in the garden, to walk in our parks, to get to go see Farmers on the Square on Wednesdays without having to be scared that someone's going to racially profile them and potentially turn them in. They deserve to be in this community just as much as any of us do. And frankly, I don't believe in going against the Constitution. And we are daily breaking the 14th Amendment. And I do not support helping anyone break the Constitution more. I want this community to thrive. And it really saddens me that there are people that are arguing against it. So, if advocating to emotion does not help, here are a few economic facts from the American Immigration Council. I have a degree in economics. I've studied it, and I work in it. I'm in the Harrisburg, Cumberland County area. Immigrants have $1.8 billion in spending power. That is $8 billion you are asking to give away every year. They contribute $660.3 million in local taxes alone. They own homes. They have families. They spend money in this community. Do you know how much money would be out of circulation if we start sending people out? If we start scaring people away from coming here? We should be welcoming people. That's what this town has been built on, in my opinion. That's what my grandparents have taught me. We are only as strong of a community if we work together. I really hope that this passes so we can continue to have a loving and wonderful and welcoming community that does not go against the Constitution and that does not destroy the economy like we have been seeing happen nationally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 5 minutes. Awesome. My name is Hannah Roman, 613 North Hanover Street. I actually am going to read something from a neighbor who couldn't make it today, but I did want to start just by saying thank you all for considering this, for all that you're doing. This ordinance, which I believe the ordinance should be passed, is commensurate with our values, the values that were articulated in the strategic plan about Carlisle being welcoming and livable, and more importantly, being vibrant and thriving. That means diverse and a place where we can all live freely, can live happily and not in fear. But I'm going to go on to the message that my neighbor asked me to read. It is important for us to remember that while the Trump administration's escalation and brazen cruelty may have catalyzed this conversation, we should have implemented a welcoming policy years ago, and we need one after he leaves office too. To illustrate this point, I have a short history lesson. The deportation of immigrants from the United States did not exist for more than a century after this country was founded, but it began in 1892 with our first national immigration policy, the Chinese Exclusion Act. Still, forced removal was not a major policy priority for a century. The total number of deportations nationwide in 1 year did not surpass 50,000 until 1995. By then, though, the rhetoric that brought us to today had taken hold, and the number more than doubled in 2 years. And in 1997, there were 114,432 deportations. And then skipping over a couple years into 2022, though there were 103,966 people removed because of the COVID-19 emergency, in addition to over 100,000 deportations. He told me to speak of these statistics to emphasize that the administration in Washington does not matter. Anti-immigrant policies have bipartisan support on the national level, and Trump is far from the beginning or the end of these threats to our neighbors. However, as Carlilians, we have been and will continue to be a proud and diverse community with the rights and responsibilities of home rule. Therefore, far more than challenging any individual administration or party, this issue is about affirming community trust and local autonomy as the ordinance has been appropriately renamed. We set it in our strategic plan to be welcoming and livable, to be vibrant and thriving, to be caring and professional. So please pass this ordinance to uphold these principles into the future, whatever it may bring, and I agree with him. Thank you.
My name's Jen McDuffie, and I live at 702 North Pitt Street. I'm going to have to change a little bit of what I was going to say, but I do want to start with thanking Council for passing the statement last month. I think that was a step in the right direction. I think it shows that everyone's heart is in the right place. I also wanted to thank the original assurance that the police department is doing everything to the best of its ability, and I appreciate the transparency that it looks like now maybe that's not quite 100%. So I appreciate that, I really do. But I think the problem is that a statement doesn't have any teeth. It doesn't have anything that can give the police something to go on. And I don't think that this is about not having our immigrant neighbors not be needing to follow the same laws that the rest of us do. It's about making sure that there is justice for everybody to the best of our ability. So it's not just a statement, it's something that provides a law, it's something that provides a guideline, it's something that provides something for people to pay attention to, go by. So, like I said, this is not about making our immigrant neighbors immune to the justice system that applies to them like everybody else. But this is about ensuring that there's only one justice system, and that justice system applies equally to everybody. And that's the best way to protect our immigrant neighbors and to protect everybody who lives in our town. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cromwell, 804 Hillside Drive. I recently moved back to Carlisle after I grew up in Carlisle since 96 till 2009 before going out to college and then living in San Francisco and Brooklyn, both of which are sanctuary cities, which are actually defined as sanctuary cities as opposed to what's currently been discussed here. And I'd frankly just challenge anyone around whether I ever felt actually unsafe living under kind of ordinances and laws that were under those kind of designations. I think that national news, internet, radio tell one story around what kind of the lived versus other side of this looks like. And I felt perfectly safe for the 8 years that I lived in San Francisco and Brooklyn and Manhattan, which were both all deemed sanctuary cities. On that note, it also allows immigrants who are highly vulnerable populations to actually be able to interact with police without fear of repercussion. So immigrants being highly vulnerable populations, if they are the victims of domestic violence, if they're the victims of trafficking, if they're the victims of, if they witness crimes, being able to safely interact with police and be able to provide witness and testimony and being able to reach out to local resources without fear of deportation makes our communities fundamentally safer. Outside of that, I recently went through an experience where I lost my both my ID and my passport, and it is a terrifying place to live in the world without proper documentation. And it is not something that I think anyone should, living through that kind of fear on a day-to-day basis, given anything else, is something that we should have extreme empathy and sympathy for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jeff Englehart, 218 Southwest Street. I just want to comment on some of the reasons given at the last meeting for that some council members gave for voting against the ordinance or the ordinance. So one was that the mayor and council member Mellon had said that they wanted to hear from those who were most vulnerable, and they hadn't yet heard from the people who were most vulnerable about what they say about this ordinance. And so I wanted to say just before the vote, maybe they can get that information. I know that it makes sense or it's convenient if people come here and tell them that, but obviously that can make people vulnerable. So I'd like to ask those people who think they need that information to get it before the vote next week. Maybe you can pass them. I guess they're listening, right? They're, okay. I'd also like to say something about the reason that they expressed with regard to that information. So both council members said that, and maybe especially the mayor said that without knowing how the populations that are most vulnerable sort of know what they think about this ordinance, the mayor said he didn't feel comfortable making the decision, and so he was going to vote against it. I just want to ask him to reconsider that reasoning. If the mayor feels like he needs evidence about what people think, what the most vulnerable populations think about the ordinance in order to decide what he wants to do, it sounds like that means there's a reasonable position where that means if the people who are most vulnerable would vote against it, then he'll vote against it. If the people who are most vulnerable would vote for it, then he'll vote for it. If he doesn't have that information, that's not a reason to vote against it. That's just no evidence one way or another. Maybe that's reason to abstain, or that's reason to split the vote with someone or something like that. So I'd like to ask the mayor to reconsider that reasoning. I also want to comment on Councilmember Mellon's point that there are some possibilities that if we pass this ordinance that we might not like, that it might make us more vulnerable, it might attract more attention. I think we can all agree that that is a possibility. There are many people here making the strong case that there are also positive possibilities that we'll be better protected as a community if we pass an ordinance or resolution. Many people making that case have brought to bear evidence that shows that other cities around our size that have passed an ordinance have seen less activity from ICE and DHS. If Councilmember Mellon has some evidence that the possibilities that she fears are more likely than the possibilities that we've pointed out, then that should be something that she shares with the rest of us. I appreciate that fear, but also we can all recognize that it's possible without claiming that it's the most likely outcome. And we shouldn't do it. We shouldn't not pass this ordinance or resolution merely because there are some possibilities that we don't like. There are obviously also consequences to not passing a resolution. And the experts that we've seen, that many people here have pointed to and cited, the experts tell us that we're best protected as a community if we pass a resolution or ordinance like this. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone on Zoom for public comment? Is anyone else in the audience? Okay. I will say that I was remiss, although we're not making comment on what was stated earlier. I mean, obviously, we have an ordinance here. It's been posted. Many people referenced the meeting last month, so you can watch the entirety of that on our YouTube to see what was discussed at that point. But I will just say that the process to get to this point, that we have these documents, was highly vetted through our legal counsel. So although there's there might be variations of what different counselors have perspectives on. The document itself is created to be legal. So I understand that there might be different things that have been posted, but that is a crucial part of your government, is to ensure that when we have ordinances that they are properly vetted in advance, not by just someone like me, who I'm not a lawyer, but I appreciate the expertise that we have across our staff and our solicitors and legal counsel to ensure that what we are doing up here, to the best of our ability, is accurate and well vetted. So, do we have anything else for discussion?
Deputy Mayor, if I
Yes.
may.
Yes.
So first of all, I thank you all for indulging me. I am en route to Erie, Pennsylvania to attend the Pennsylvania Municipal League conference on behalf of the borough. So I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. Secondly, I would like to say this is not a comment from me. I received a comment from a resident of Carlisle who asked me if I could please read it this evening. The comment comes from Bert Lennon, who was one of the 9 members of the Home Rule Commission that was established in 2013 to write the Home Rule Charter. He wanted to be here there in person tonight, but he is currently receiving treatment in Hershey Medical Center, so was unable to attend. And so it's a very long comment. I won't read the whole thing. But he says, I am opposed to the welcoming city provision. My concerns come from my experience as a member of the commission that wrote the Home Rule Charter. I helped write Section 7, which explains how citizens can propose ordinances, and I do not agree with how this process is being handled. He said he has 3 main reasons for disagreeing with the proposal. He believes it's unnecessary, unwanted, and unlawful. His early points deal with, he claims there are laws already in place, including the Constitution, the Pennsylvania Constitution, the Home Rule Charter that address these issues. He believes this runs contrary to the U.S. Constitution. He doesn't see strong support from Carlisle citizens on the issue, and he's also worried that this is not being driven by citizens, but rather by outside groups. But I did want to read the full quote, what he says at the end of his comment. He says, "What frustrates me most is that I view this as an attempt to circumvent the intent of Section 7 of the Home Rule Charter. This charter clearly explains how to bring issues to the council, including specific requirements based on voter turnout in the last gubernatorial election. We established these rules to ensure that requests truly reflect what the borough citizens want. The people behind this proposal have not met those requirements. If Carlisle residents really want this change, they can bring it to the council through the process outlined in Section 7 of the Charter. For all these reasons, I urge you to vote no on this proposal. The council's job is to follow the law and look out for Carlisle's best interests. I do not think a yes vote would do either, and it could put Carlisle in danger." Thanks.
I'm sorry, I'm pulling up our charter and just because I like to know what I'm looking at, so I'm just taking a quick pondering.
Deputy Mayor Landis, I think what you'll see in there is that there's a referendum and initiative process. That referendum and initiative process does not suggest that that's the only way that ordinances get passed that might be presented by residents. I think what Mr. Lennon is saying, probably, if you read between the lines, is that that he may see this as a controversial issue, that given that there are those processes, that it should be brought forth in that way. Obviously, we have a right and a responsibility to pass ordinances as we see fit. An ordinance such as this could be viewed as something that should go to the voters. It's also something that can be repealed by the voters through the referendum process.
thank you, Sean, who is a lawyer and helps knowing
And
what our
and
documents are a little bit.
and while I'm speaking, I just want to clarify. I don't think at any point last month did I say that I'm going to vote in opposition to the ordinance. I believe I provided some argument on either side of it. So I just don't want that my statements from last month to be mischaracterized. I am still undecided on this item.
Thank you, Mayor Schultz.
Yes.
Mayor Schultz is under the weather today, but he is still participating. So, yeah, we appreciate that. I will say, if you want to read our home rule charter, you can Google home rule Carlisle, and it will come up. And what Mayor Schultz has stated is correct. And in the time that we have had our home rule designation, I don't believe that the petition for a referendum to be on a ballot that is open to all voters has ever come to be. No one has ever actually gone through that process and asked for it to go in that way. So I will just say that that was never a request, although it is an opportunity within our home rule charter to use. So you can look into the details of that and follow up with additional questions, because I could not answer them if you asked me right now, but I would dig in, and we would have our staff who understand the particulars of things. And also that's when we also call in our solicitor to ensure that we're getting the proper method if someone so wanted to do that. Did everyone get a copy of the ordinance or has been able to access that, correct? Okay. So I believe what will happen is the next meeting next Thursday, we will have it on an agenda item that would allow us to move forward on a vote for either the resolution or to put forward a vote to advertise it as an ordinance. So the resolution and the ordinance are the exact same text. The resolution is something that we can adopt in one motion in one evening. An ordinance does require there be notification. It has to be in the newspaper, and it has to have a 10-day. 10-day? It would, so we wouldn't. Approximately 10-day notification. So most likely, if we would choose to go that route at the next meeting, we would vote to advertise the ordinance, and then likely we wouldn't be able to adopt it until at least the workshop or the following meeting in November. Right. So we wouldn't call a special meeting or anything like that, but we would come back in November at one of those meetings and then have the official vote. So next week, there would be an opportunity possibly to take no action, to vote on enacting the resolution, or vote on enacting the ordinance. And so an ordinance, because you do have those notification responsibilities and requirements, it means it takes longer to enact. It also means it takes longer to repeal, because the same process has to happen if you were going to repeal such a document. A resolution you could repeal in the same way. But the difference is also, and I'm just sort of summarizing some of the things that we talked about last week. These are more official, informational. If there were reasons why we needed to adjust what's in this text, you can do that quicker on a resolution. It's a more formal process for an ordinance, it just takes longer. So there might be benefits and drawbacks for both of those when you really are thinking of the practicality of things happening in the world. So that is pretty much where we are for going forward. I'll give one last call though for public comment, because I know we're throwing a lot of information out. Does anyone else have any last statements? Yes, please do.
Hello. Do I speak into this?
Yeah, you can give your name and address, please. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Holden Burkholder. I live on 60 West Pomfret Street, which is right over there. I'm sorry for appearing late. I got stuck on 81. There was a huge, massive accident. I was just sitting in traffic alone for about half an hour, completely stopped. And what I mean by that is what we should We should think about that a lot. How often that happens on 81? That's atrocious. That's a real big issue. This charter is kind of a non-issue when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. What I mean about it is what you owe your constituents, what you owe us as citizens of Carlisle. You owe us a good, happy, healthy community. What you owe us is good, neighborly culture. And I believe that over the years we've felt much, much less neighborly. People feel more afraid and incapable. This charter will help some of our citizens feel more capable, feel more welcome, feel happier and healthier. We can't do anything to fix 81, but we can fix our culture. That's a good start.
Thank you. Councillor Stubbe was also stuck on 81, but he made it here just in time.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ayana Gudama and I live on East North Street, 155. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I was so moved by the outcry from my neighbors and my colleagues in this community. And I wanted to say that I think it's important. It's founded in our American values. It's part of our constitutional right. It's part of what Americans do. We support each other. We fulfill each other's needs. We're a community. We've seen a lot of turbulence in the last couple of years when it comes to community building. But I think it's important that you hear that there is a strong community outcry and there is a strong public support for this ordinance as an ordinance, as a directive to our police to protect our communities and not to capitulate to fascism. I think we have a duty to protect each other, and I think it's important that you hear and that you see that there is public support for this. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, last call. I really do appreciate every single one of you coming up for voicing your opinions. This is the beauty of government in action, of being able to provide the microphone to each and every one of you, and also we have Zoom and we have emails and we have taken in comments across the board. We're still open to that. If there's other things that you didn't think about tonight and you want to continue to send messages along, feel free. We will read them all, and we share them with others if for some reason it only comes to one of us. We will post our agenda next week. Yeah, next week to see what else would be on the agenda. But this will be on at some point in the evening. And is there anything else for the good of the order, my friends?
I might just add, there's a lot of new faces in the audience tonight, and any of you who haven't spoke during public comment, I really welcome you all to. I think it helps us to hear folks who haven't had a voice at that podium yet, and you shouldn't be afraid to voice your opinions. So, thank you.
I want to reiterate that I think it's really important that we hear from you all, the residents, and I hope you understand that we're residents too. So we think about these things just as you do, but it is an honor for us to hear from you. So thank you for coming and speaking. It's important, and I want to thank the people who email. I try to respond to the emails, just thanking them for taking the time to email us. And hearing from you all, it really does mean a lot to us. And I feel like, well, they've already said it. I think that we all feel like that. I hate to speak for other people, but I think that we all feel like that. So thank you.
And I will leave with, unless, did you have anything to say? I will leave with one of my favorite quotes, because both of them have said it so eloquently, but I don't say things eloquently very often. I often bumble through, but I have a spirited, passionate drive. So this quote has been forever, but often you only hear the beginning of it, and it's by Maggie Kuhn, and it's speak your mind even if your voice shakes, because my voice shakes when I get really passionate about something. Leave safety behind, put your body on the line, stand before the people you fear, and speak your mind even if your voice shakes. When you least expect it, someone may actually listen to what you have to say. well aimed slingshots can topple giants. And do your homework. And that's it for this evening. Thank you.